I like to tell people that this is a look, see, do kind of thing. Now, when I say look, see, do, that means look on the screen, right? See how things are working, listen to them and see what's going to work for your business, because I don't think there's ever a one size fits all type of solution. But I want you to understand that you can do AI your way. So we're talking about how to use AI for your business today. And I think that it's an important thing for you to understand that your business is not like anybody else's. Even if you were like an MLM company and you do sell, the same product as somebody else, you're still unique in your business. And the reason for you doing your business is something that should be a part of whatever you're doing when you're doing your marketing. Third thing is meet Tammy Faye. So anybody who doesn't know Tammy, she is our executive assistant. She is my tambourine. So when we say good things, or I feel like, we've come to like this aha moment kind of thing, Tammy may come out and she'll go ahead and she'll, talk a little bit to you guys. And then number 4 is I also do a thing called the little chocolates. So one thing I've been calling myself for years is the chocolate face. So we do little chocolates, which are extra pieces of info to be able to kind of give you some more insight that you might not see on the screen. So this is why I say look, see, do, because then I can go back in there and I can also type some stuff into the chat. Now, I did make an error a little bit earlier, but Shay corrected and said that this will be recorded. However, I want you to understand, if you do the things that we're talking about in this workshop while we're here right now, you will not have a problem and stuff will already be set up for you. Doesn't mean that you can't come back and look. It just means that there's a lot of stuff that, that's already going to be done. So this is why I like things to be actionable whenever you do our workshops. Feel free, if you want to go ahead and scan that QR code. I left it up there for a little while just so you guys can see. And in addition to that, she's already given you all the details about me. So I'm not going to go into like a lot of things about that. But one thing about me that I like people to understand is, and I'm hopefully this is the same thing with you, is that you can be multifaceted. You can do multiple things with your business, which also means that you may have multiple things to market, to publicize. So even though, yes, we do the, curation of events and we do a lot of conferences throughout the state of North Carolina, but then something like this, where we're doing business development training, is a different thing to market. But then if you talk about being an author, I have a book, then we market that. Doing a podcast, then we market that. So you can utilize AI in a way that allows you to be able to then kind of separate out the different areas that you do market. Maybe you have separate businesses. Maybe you want to create the kind of avatars where you go ahead and you're then telling people that are in a certain type of market, you're marketing to them a little bit differently. So, these are things for you to just think about. Now, every workshop that I do, I put in goals because I need you to know what to expect. So we're going to talk about what AI is in general. And that's because I feel like a lot of times when you come on webinars, people expect you to know certain things. I don't expect you to really know that much, right? I expect that you're coming here so that this way we can educate you. But I've been to some things where people just say AI like everybody knows it, and that's not necessarily the case, right? We're going to talk about how do you want to use it, and that's an important factor. So we can probably underline that you, because what I need you to understand is you're going to use it in a way that you think. But once you start using the AI system, right, what you will start to see is it may help you to be even more creative. So you have a lot of people that talk about the fact that AI can take jobs. And first of all, let's be clear, it is already doing that in a lot of cases. But this is your business and we're not trying to get you out of it, right? Unless you want to sell it, and that's totally different, right? But if you say, I want to keep this business and I just want to be more efficient with my time, I want to be more professional, you want to do those things that then maybe you can create other things for other people to do, right? So maybe you want to have a virtual assistant, or maybe you have an assistant already, and then you can train them how to do some stuff for you. So these are things for you to think about. We'll talk about types of content. And then at the end, of course, it's your job to go forth and multiply. So I don't want you to take this webinar and just think, oh, okay, this is a fluff. This is not a fluff. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, because that's what you came here for. So let's get into it. So first off, and this is where we're going to take a pause because I'm going to need you guys to type in. And you don't have to type in a whole lot, but I want you to think about this. Who are you as a person, right? What do you do, right? So what do you do? What do you do as a business, okay? And then what made you join us today? So when I say, okay, who am I? You know, we've already got the background, right? And then if I say, what do I do with my business? My job with every aspect of my business is to make things easier for people. Because if it's easy, people will do it. If it's easy, people pay you, right? So those are the things that I like to do with my business. And what made me join you guys today is because guess what? This is a part of the business is being able to educate people. So if you guys can type in now and just give me a little bit of that, then that would be some really great stuff. And then this way I can get some feedback. And then Lindell and Emilio with the QR code, don't even worry about that. I'll pull it back up a little bit later. Okay. So ThoughtWare, you're doing IT staffing and you're in Chicago. Okay. Anybody else? And then you can also tell me what made you join us today. So it's a reason that you came out, but what do you do for your business? Somebody drop those into the chat now. And I'm hoping that you know what you do for your business. So this part shouldn't be that hard, right? Let me try to get them now. Let's see. Amanda, you said you help business owners with 3 to 15 team members streamline work and learn to delegate so they can take unplugged vacations. I love that. And you're here for learning outreach. Christina, Caldwell Electric, and you're a collaborative electrical engineer project manager and an educator. Love that. Joan, book publishing, authoring, coaching. Alexander, you just put your name in there, so I would need more information. Christina, you said you design, manage, and teach at the collegiate level in the MEP engineering field. Okay. Brenda, business development professional with Trans Systems, and you have dabbled in AI and want to use it more. Okay. Luther, you said government contracting using AI in your bidding business. I definitely think it can help make that process a little bit easier, right? Because what you have to look at with AI is that it is gathering information from a lot of different sources. And so it's trained to help you to be a little bit better. Let's see, Yvette, you said award-winning photographer and owner of Red Angle Photography and publisher of the Envoy Guide magazine, which features minority women entrepreneurs and artists, and you joined to learn more about using AI to help your business. Okay, Damien, you're doing government contracting as well, looking to simplify the task without having to pay until you're successful enough to retain people. So I'm gonna tell you, you're already successful because you're on this webinar, okay? We can't necessarily help you with retaining the people, but because these people nowadays are very fickle, so I just want you to know that. Corey, you said business consultant. Business capital consultant, and you serve businesses and entrepreneurs by preparing them and or providing them with business and commercial capital. And you join because you're always amazing and insightful. I love that. Hey, Corey. All right, Alexander. Okay, so you're a handyman in construction services. Martin, erosion control specialist as a subcontractor, and you're using AI for your admin. And I'm gonna try to wrap this up. And then LD Consultants provide businesses with modernized financial, business, and real estate strategies that drive efficiency, reduce complexity, optimize costs, and foster sustainable growth. Steve, you're doing basketball association, youth mentorship. Rantahia, you said provide things that taste good and satisfy the sweet tooth. And you joined to learn more about AI to advertise. Okay, I'm gonna try to wrap this up with these last two. Mensa, tax preparer with more than 10 years in business, and you have a small office, you're trying to grow the business and you want to know how to use AI in order to do that. And then I'm gonna stop right here at James, restaurant owner for the past 25 years. Okay, so it's so many more that are all in here, and I can't read everybody's because of course you guys have typed in a lot of stuff. So this will enable me to at least have some ideas about what you do for your business. Okay, great. So now that we know that, what I need you to do is I need you to take into consideration what AI is in the first place and then think about how you would use it. So the way that we're using it, because there are different types of AI, is we're utilizing it as a software, okay? Which means you can use it as an app that's on your phone, or you can consider using it directly on the computer. I do both. And I probably use my phone more often than I use the computer, but that's just because I'm so used to having my phone. Now, I am also visually impaired. Don't let these contacts fool you. I need my glasses. So if there's anybody else in the building who needs their glasses, who's visually impaired, you can put in a virtual high five or a virtual hand, right? So the thing about this, and the reason why I even bring this up, is because if you need to see things in a much larger capacity, then you probably are going to be more comfortable utilizing the computer. The good thing about using the AI system is the same stuff that's on the computer will then show up in your app that's on the phone. So you won't have to worry about, well, is it in one place and not in the other? Okay. Now, there are a lot of different AI applications out there today. We're going to focus on ChatGPT. And so I pay for mine. I have the paid version. So when I pay for stuff, they get names. So mine is called Chatty. You can name yours whatever you want to name yours. The thing about this is that there are a lot of different ways to use AI. But for us, this is what we really want to focus on: saving time. So let me tell you what you're thinking about if you're saving time. You want to start to develop templates so that this way you don't have to do stuff over and over again. So I want you to think about all the emails that you have to send out. I want you to think about any press releases that you might send out. I want you to think about the type of content that you would send out. If you go ahead and you get a strategy together in order for AI to be able to help you develop that, then this way, all you have to do is copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Now, that's also taken into consideration. You may need to have a system in place where it is then going to disseminate that somewhere else. And so that's not technically what we're getting into today, but I'm just going to drop this first little chocolate. So one thing that I like to use whenever I am doing like my scheduling, I like to use later.com. Now, I have used other things, okay? So I want you to understand that. Now, Linda, I see you typed in a comment that also said automating. So I'm going to drop in an app that I like to use to help automate. I like to use, hold on, computer, get it together. I like to use Zapier, Zapier.com. Now, type both of these things into the chat. So this way it's right there and you can go to the chat and you can check it out. I like to use Later for my scheduling. Now, mind you, there are a multitude of other apps that you could use out there. I'm just telling you what I like. And I've used different ones before. This is just my preference. And then I like to use Zapier when I'm talking about automating things. So I'm not going to give you a million different apps to look at. I'm just going to give you something that's really straightforward. So let's talk about, if we were saying saving time. If you were to say, well, listen, I want to go ahead and I want you to give me 30 different posts that I can put out on social media. And that's what you tell the AI. You give it information, right? And then it generates you 30 different posts. Now you can sit down and do what I like to call cheeks in the seat. Okay. Tell them, Tammy, tell them about cheeks in the seat. Cheeks in the seat means you got to sit that butt down, just like we're doing now, get to the computer and schedule out your content. So if you have 30 posts, guess what? Then that means you can go ahead and schedule them on the platforms that you have, and then they will go on the platforms. Now, if you're thinking about something like as far as our next step, which might be saving money, you can use something like Later for free because it gives you 30 days for free. I pay for Later also because my husband does the scheduling for us and he does not want to just stop at 30 days. So if we know that we have some events that are coming up next year, he'd rather take the time to sit down and schedule stuff out for multiple months as opposed to looking at just 1 month. Okay. So if you want to save money, use the free things that you can use. If you also want to increase efficiency, then that might mean you pay for something. So that's why I just kind of want you to see it's up to you. It's also up to your budget, right? Now, the other thing is increased productivity. So when you talk about that, if you already have everything scheduled, you can go on vacation, right? The young lady was talking about having that vacation time. You can go on vacation. You cannot have to worry about physically posting every day if you start to use the AI. Now, one thing is it depends on what you want to use. So once we get to the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you a massive list of things that you can consider that maybe you didn't even think about, but that you can then start to develop for your brand. Okay. So this is what I want you to think about because I need you to understand how AI works. Think of AI as your virtual assistant, right? You could think of AI as your marketing partner. You could think of AI as your kid that you're trying to teach so that this way you don't have to pay someone else, okay? So I don't know how many of you have kids, but at least you know you can write off the kids, you get a tax refund, right? You can write off the AI. So if you kind of look at it like that, you know, use that fee that you pay on a regular basis if you decide to use the paid version in order to write it off because it's a business expense. Now, this is what I want you to think about. You may say, well, why do you have the paid version as opposed to the free? Me, I like to use things on my own time and I don't like to be slowed down. So the free version is great. You could still use the free version. However, you will get into times where you ask it so many questions that it will then tell you that it's busy and it's basically overloaded and it's not going to be able to answer your question now. But if you're the type of person like me where you get into the swing of things and you're in your groove and you're working, you don't want to stop because okay, it's telling you that it's overloaded, it's overwhelmed. It's not overloaded and overwhelmed. It's just telling you if you pay me, then you don't even have to worry about that. So I love that factor. Okay. Now, this is what I want you to think about with the AI, and I'm just going to use Chat GPT since that's what we're doing today. I think that you need to consider it's only as smart as you tell it to be. So it doesn't know you. So when I asked you those questions at the beginning of like, who are you? What do you do with your company? What do you want people to know? Those things are important because you have to take into consideration that you need to tell it what you are, who you work with, the type of client you want, the type of content you want it to actually put out. And so when you give it that information, then what you do is you allow it to be able to be more knowledgeable. So if you had an intern in real life and you had a real person coming to learn your company, they probably could find things from a couple of places. So one main thing that I want you to think about that I'm sure most of your businesses have is a website. So if you have that website, then that means it can get content from your website. If you said, okay, well, I have documents that are already written because I have brochures or I have content that's out there that I've already put online and I want you to then learn from that, then that's a good way for you to be able to teach it how you want it to respond. Okay. Now you'll hear people say things like, okay, well, it'll start to speak a lot more like you. And I promise you, if you use it long enough, it will. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say that it's going to start to learn everything about you in like 30 days, but I'm saying maybe a 60 to a 90-day range. It really starts to just give you content in a way that is very accessible for you. And then you're just like, are you my friend? And it's like, yeah, I'm your friend. I'm here to help you make more money. And I can tell you it's worked for me. So I want you to think about this when you get to number one. What is it that you want your current customers to know? So you want them to know something. So the people that you have, it's a lot cheaper to retain those people. So educate them about something. So maybe that is new services that you have. You're about to launch something next year. Maybe at this point in time of the year, you want them to know like your KPIs, which is key performance indicators or metrics. Maybe you want them to know things that you've achieved this year, some milestones. Just so that this way they can say, okay, well, we'll still be customers of yours. Maybe there are people that have been long-standing and you want to recognize them, a customer appreciation, and you just want to send out an email that says, hey, we appreciate you. However it is, I want you to think about that because a lot of people don't think about, well, what do I want to actually write? Okay, and so you have current customers now. Now, then when you get over to number two, you have people that are not your customers, but hopefully you'll be able to turn them into customers. So if I don't know you from Adam, right? Then what do you need to tell me? What do you need to show me expertise in that allows me to understand you're the right choice for me? So I want you to think about this. If you're the type of person who likes to write like speeches, articles, if you want to let people know about industry things that are happening, and it could be something that's happening, and for most of us, we're in North Carolina, it could be something that's happening in North Carolina, things that are affecting your business. It could be, a lot of different things that you want people that don't know you to get an understanding of how you do business, why your business is important, and really articulate that value. Now, then when you get to number three, I want you to answer this inside the chat. What one thing do you want to do more of going into 2025? Do you want to write more? Do you want to do more videos, or do you want to speak more? So I'm going to pause and let you guys type that in for me. Okay. More videos. Okay, Yvette. Speak more videos, write more, speak more, videos, write more videos. Okay. Okay. So it's kind of mixed up in here, right? Now, this is the thing that I want you to think about. You can do all of those things, okay? Because what it does is, to me, Chat GPT can help you be a force multiplier. And when I say that, what do I mean? Your mind is thinking, I want to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 different things. You can take those things out of your mind and you can place them individually into Chat GPT and ask it to give you an outline, ask it to give you an idea, ask it to generate some things for you content wise that then it allows you to be able to do more of those things. So now let's put in our little chocolate here. For my people who want to write more, what do you want to write? One thing that I think has been influential in my business this year is I started writing more articles on LinkedIn. But I'm going to give you some chocolates. LinkedIn definitely has it where you can have your own newsletter. And the good thing about that is that newsletter, when people subscribe to it, it also gets sent to them in their email, which can increase your influence. So if you were already the type of person who liked to write, and maybe you wrote lengthy posts on social media or something like that, you can take that same type of content, copy and paste what you've already written, put it inside of Chat GPT, and then this way it can learn how you write. And then you can give it subject matters that you want it to write about. And then guess what? I'm going to give you some numbers here. All right. I know we got a lot of numbers people in the building. So if I said, okay, well, look, you want to put out 1 article a month, right? That's 12 articles a year. Don't you think that you could think about 12 different things that you want to write about for next year? Ta-da. Let it help you write. And the thing is, go back and check it. Make sure that everything is, good. If it's tones, if it's things that are repetitive, edit those things. And then what I like to do is I like to interject my own videos or my own links as references, but that's one way. But let's just say you want to make money off of your writing. You could use something, and I'm going to type this in, like Substack. You could use something like Beehive, and I'm just going to write these things in. And with those types of things, it can then help you. Oh, and I'm sorry, I spelled that wrong. I'm missing a B. Substack and Beehive. You can then help yourself to be able to make money with that content that you put out. Now, Nikki mentioned something like an RFP. So a lot of us are probably doing some type of government contracting. You can take, and I literally mean this. Why do I know this? Because I just did it, right? You can take a whole entire application, okay? Copy all the questions, and then put those questions into Chat GPT and let it give you a response, which then can help quicken your time with your RFPs, okay? It can also shorten it. So let's just say you are a person who writes lengthy sentences. I'm just going to use that because my husband says I'm like a comma and a run-on sentence sometimes. If you are that type of person, what it can help you do is it can also help you to reduce the size. So one little chocolate that I like to use is, if I know I write something and it's a little bit lengthy, then I may say to shorten it to 50 words. And then what it'll do is it'll take the idea and the concept of what I put out there and it'll shorten it to 50 words. Because I'm a person who likes to read, but there's a lot of people who don't read, okay? And I'm sure you guys know people like that. And you might be one of them, right? You may be the type of person who says, well, listen, this is exactly why I want to do more videos. So let me tell you what you could do with the videos. Now, the other thing is, if you decided that you wanted to go that route, is you can ask it to write a script for you. Still give it the content and the information, and then tell it you want a script, but maybe keep that script to 30 seconds. Now, what will happen is you will also then have all the words for transcription. So if you were using a type of service where you would then have captions on the screen, then you would already have the transcription, copy, paste, put that in there so people can actually read what you said. And then that can be really great for people who are also audibly impaired. So you have to take into consideration there's a lot of different ways that people will reach your content. And then the final thing on here, if you said, well, I want to speak more, go ahead and start thinking about what you want to speak about. And you can also have it write a script for that. Now, I want you to take into consideration with videos that doesn't mean that you even want to be in the videos. Maybe you just want the words to be in the videos and you use the type of software where the words come up. Or maybe what you want to do is you want your voice on it, and then you want to do a voiceover over top of a video, and then your content is there. So I want you to think that it's a lot of different things that it can do. Now, without getting in depth, there are different types of AIs where you can make an avatar and then you can give it that content and allow it to speak for you. So I would suggest that if you look into an application like I'm using today, like Canva, there are AIs that are inside of there that you can give it the actual words that you wanted to say. And maybe you don't need to speak, but the avatar could speak for you. So I'm just kind of giving you that. And since we only have an hour and 15 minutes, I can't go in depth in everything. But guess what? You can come back next week because we're going to be talking more about social media. So some of the stuff that I leave off today, we'll be going in depth with next week. All right. So now, this is what I said, a script. And this is what I want you to think about, because you're like, okay, well, what am I going to write about? What am I going to say? Write a script for yourself that explains who you are and who your business serves. You can also consider things like location, how long you've been in business, experience that you have, the target consumer that you're looking for. Maybe it's in a specific area or a certain radius. Anything that's unique about your business that maybe somebody else may not have that experience. It could be where you went to college at. It could be maybe you're a Greek affiliate. It could be you have an affiliate with some type of organization that's important. Your involvement or volunteerism. I mean, any of those things that can be important to your business. And then what are your goals that you want to have? Okay. So this is something that you may not have now, but it could be possibly similar to like your about on your page on your website. But I want you to write something that gives us an idea, more of a little bit in depth about who you are as a business owner, what your business does, who you serve, the value that you're giving, because it needs to know this, okay? So I tell people to go ahead and write this script before they even really get into ChatGPT. But maybe you've been into ChatGPT and you didn't even write this script, and that's fine. So you can put something in there, and then now maybe you can help it to upgrade your bio, upgrade what people say about you if they're introducing you, just like Shay introduced me today. And then you can fine tune it also. But no matter what, it needs to know this information, because then when it starts to write for you, it can be a whole lot more fluid as far as the system goes, because it knows who you are and what you're about. So let me show you an example. So this is my script, okay? I'm going to read it to you so you see everything. Give It to the People is a business based in Durham, North Carolina. The company focuses on creating curated conferences, professional development, and business development training. Chisa Penix Brown is the chief curator of Give It to the People. Montrell Brown is the CEO of Give It to the People. Chisa is the author of the 90-Day Focus, Your Action Plan for Success, and the host of Give It to the People Live podcast, as well as Real Ass Affirmations podcast. Our goals, because this is us as a company, are to increase attendance at all events that we host, to attract primarily women and BIPOC people, which is what we do. And we always, well, it says we want to always, but I'm just going to say that we want to always have a diverse audience that is primarily business owners, entrepreneurs, and business support organizations in the NC entrepreneurial ecosystem. When speaking on behalf of Give It to the People, always use us, we, and our terms. Okay. Now, I know you're probably like, wow, I didn't even think I needed to be that detailed. Yeah, you do. So I needed to know what my position is at the company, what my husband does, so that this way it identifies us correctly, right? I also needed to know about the book, the podcast, because those are important parts of the company. Now, what I'll be doing when I update this again is we're starting a membership that'll be launching in January. I will add that content into it so that this way it will always know that that's an important part of our business, right? And so I told it what my goals are. And so that means that it knows who I want to write to. It knows I want diverse people there. So you don't need to just write just for, let's just say, Black women. No, I want a diverse audience. So consider that when writing content for me. And I also thought that it was important to use the us, we, and our terms, because it's not just me in business. So if I'm writing and I'm putting it on like my Chisa Penix Brown Instagram, I will use the words I, me, my. But if I'm putting it on Give It to the People, for the same exact content, I will change it to us, we, and our, because it's not just me, it's in business. So those are little teeny weeny nuances that you may want to think about, but they help. So now what do you do with that? Now what you do is, I want you to go here, okay? OpenAI.com/GPT-4. Now, I know that does not say ChatGPT, but that is where you go to get to ChatGPT. So OpenAI.com is the company that is ChatGPT. And what happens when you go there is it's going to ask you to create an account. So I want you to go there. Now, I can tell you, if you're utilizing a different system or a different version, of ChatGPT, then it may be similar. But if you're using something different, a totally different AI, then it's not going to be the same at all. So I just want you to know this is designed again in the realm of ChatGPT. Okay. Now, let me give you a little chocolate because I'm sure you're ready for it. Tammy, do you want to tell them? Hold on. She said, if you stay to the end of the webinar, then what's going to happen is you're going to get a free resource guide with clickable links. And then I'm also going to give you a bunch of good questions that you can put into ChatGPT so that you will be able to then start to create your own little arsenal of content. Okay. And so it's a lot of good questions that I put in there that will enable you to then have even more after you get off of this webinar. And you didn't even know you were going to get all of that, did you? Okay. So by now, everybody should be here. You need to log in. So whatever email you're going to use, whatever password you're going to use, and then poof, you get into the system. Now I am going to show you on the screen in real time, but I'm using our screenshots right now because right now we're doing the look, see, do portion. So what I want you to do, and some of you may have done this and some of you may have not. So if you have done what I'm getting ready to tell you, there may be some updates in your business that you want to put in. If you've never done this, then this is going to help you to be able to customize. So once you get into ChatGPT and you go up to the top right hand, it's going to give you this little circle, which is essentially kind of like your own little avatar. Whatever you named your account, whatever email you use, it should have initials that match that. So since mine is Give It to the People, it just has GI up at the top. I want you to click that. And then it's going to bring down that drop down menu that you see on the screen that then says customize ChatGPT. Okay. We're not going into anything else except for that. So I want you to do that. And then what it's going to do is it's going to bring up a box for you. Okay. So let me know once you've gotten in and you've pressed your little profile on the top and you've gotten to customize ChatGPT and you open up the next box. So if you're there, just tell me yes. Or there. Yep, Damien already typed in there. Joan, you said you have done this to include the info. Okay, hold on. Somebody wanted the, I'm just going to do this real quick. Somebody else was asking for the link again. And then GPT-4. All right, so hopefully that link will come through. Oh, I don't think the whole thing came through. Oh, man. GPT-4. Hold on. Let me see if that works. All right, hopefully that should get it for everybody. And hopefully it'll work. Okay, so once you're in and then you get to that point, then what you'll do is you can update that information, okay? Now, 180 Productions, you asked the question of, am I referring to prompts? Yes, I am referring to prompts, but I'm not getting to that language yet. So it's coming up though, I promise. Coming up in a few slides. All right. So once you get there, then you open up the customized ChatGPT. Then you get to the place where, do you see the script that I read to you? I copied and pasted it straight in here. Now, if you've already done this before, then there may be something that you want to update. You can update it. For anybody who hasn't done it, at a minimum, you can go in and type in who you are, what your company does, where you're located, the things that we talked about. If you noticed, it also then gave me thought starters, which are additional pieces of content that you could consider putting in there that will then help it to be a little bit more robust when it's answering, queries for you. So it says, where are you based? What do you do for work? What are your hobbies and interests? What subjects can you talk about for hours? What are some goals that you have? Very similar to what I said, but you have to take into consideration everybody's not using ChatGPT for business. So I gave you things that kind of really made the most amount of sense for business. Now, I do want you to make sure that you turn this on though, because it says enable for new chats. So if you never had this turned on, if you never updated and customized, then anything that you do going forward, it will respond like the information that you put in there, it will give you better responses. So what happens with ChatGPT is when you're looking, every query that you put in, when you're like, hey, I want to know about this, it sets it on the left-hand side of the screen, which I'll show you shortly. And you can go back. So that means if you then add in new content or ask it to do new stuff, then it may give you some different types of responses based on the fact that it now has more information about you. Okay. So that is a copy paste. Now listen, you can go back and edit this anytime you want to. So you do not have to just say, okay, well, I'm in this webinar, I feel rushed. I didn't really want to say it like that. I mean, it's okay because you are who you are, right? And so the information that you give it is there. Your business is what it is, but you can update it at any point in time and then save it. And then this way, the next time it starts to do responses, as it says, what would you like Chat GPT to know about you to provide better responses? Okay. So don't feel crazy or stressed or anything like this, because one of the rules I should have put up, we're in love. Okay. Which means you cannot get stressed. There's no room for stress in here. This is a stress-free workshop and you should feel better once you leave. Okay. So once you have your script in there, now it can start to generate responses that are better, right? So this is where we start to communicate. And I told you prompt was coming up. All right. So what they call it in Chat GPT are prompts. So if you think about something like, I don't know if you guys, some of you may be old enough. And if you are, I want you to type in seasoned. Whose line is it anyway? Does anybody remember that? If you're seasoned enough to remember that, then I know you're probably 40 and over. But if you think about improv, right? When you're doing improvisation, what they do is they give you a prompt and they say, okay, well, you're on an island, right? And so I'm gonna use my plant. You're on an island. And so we want you to act like you don't have any water. Okay. Now, mind you, you're on an island and you do have water, but maybe you don't have fresh water. So you need to act really parched, right? And so it's giving you the prompt and it's giving you some idea of something that you could kind of use in order for it to then you, the person, to give a better response. So I wanted to kind of give you something that was like a real life thing to make sense. So a prompt is you saying, well, guess what? I need you to help me with whatever it is. And guess what Chat GPT says? It clearly says, what can I help with? So you can choose. If you ask it a question, and I don't know why, I like to ask it a question because I personify things. And so since I call her Chatty, Chatty and I are always having a conversation. We communicate all the time. So for me, my biggest thing is, can you do XYZ? Now, I know she can do it, but I just like to ask questions like that because I ask it like I'm asking a real person. Sometimes, though, I will just give her more of a command style prompt where I'll say, do a strategic plan for XYZ. Okay. And I'm just throwing those things out there. So you can ask a question or you can actually give a command, and either way, then she should go ahead and respond. Okay. So what I'm giving you here is something specific. So if you said, well, I have a style that I would like to not duplicate, but imitate. Maybe there's somebody out there that's a bigger company than you that already has a certain type of way that they write that you like. So let's just say hypothetically, if I were an insurance salesperson, there would be things that I need to follow that are specific guidelines that are within the insurance industry. So I might tell you, well, analyze this writing because maybe I copied and pasted from the company that I work for or work with, and they already had some content. And I want you to then, so when you copy and paste the content, you can tell it this, analyze this writing voice, tone, style, and structure, and output bullet points. And I also added in make improvements for SEO. Now, I gave you something very specific. So either take a picture of that or type it into your Chat GPT or write it down. I'm doing that because then this way, if that's how you want it to write going forward, then you can give it that type of information. So what it will then do, and this is very specific, it will then say, okay, well, this is the type of tone, this is the type of voice, this is the style. And then you can take that and kind of copy it and paste it and put it back into where you customize things for yourself. Okay. So coming up in this presentation, I use American Express, for example. I used to work for American Express back in the day when Ken Chenault was still president. Okay. And so, you know, we're dating ourselves here, but, you know, get into it. Right. So the big thing was American Express was a very influential part of my life because I think that it was a great way for you to learn customer service. It was a great way for you to be able to combat people who didn't necessarily want to upgrade, but I could sell you on a good upgrade. Right. And you know, American Express cards, you have to pay for them. It's a great way to calm people down when they're at an airport and something's not working or their card got declined or you need to fix a charge, right? So I love the way that they communicated, all right? And so for me, it was just like, okay, well, that's a good example to use for today. So I'm kind of jumping ahead, giving you a little idea of the direction we're going. If you want to kind of emulate a certain type of style or voice, or at least find out what they think this style and voice is, then this is a great way for you to do it. So this is what we're going to do. Let me hold on for a second because I'm going to need to share a different screen with you. So let me hold on. Let me pause this. Come on out. And then I'm going to take this prompt right here, copy it. Okay. We're going to get back to here. And then what I'm going to do in real time is we're going to go to a website, right? So let's just say we use American Express as an example, all right? I'm waiting for it to get to americanexpress.com. Now, you can do it forward, backward, however you feel like you want to do things. So that's kind of up to you, but I'm just going to show you why I'm saying that. So let me share so that this way I can flip in between the tabs. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to ChatGPT first. Okay. So if I'm on ChatGPT, this is the prompt that I'm putting in because I wanted to analyze this writing voice, tone, style, structure, right? So it needs something to analyze. Now I can just give it, I'm going to give you two different options. I can give it the American Express website, or I can copy something that's specific. Now I'm going to switch over to American Express. Can you tell me if you can see the American Express site? I just want to make sure. So if I wanted to look in here and I wanted to kind of find out like what's their tone, I can go to a specific page and I can kind of find out about them, you know, what's going on. So let's just go down here and go to About American Express. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, the way that I put the prompt in was telling it to analyze the voice, right? Which means I have to give it something to analyze. So if I wanted to like copy and paste some content that was out there, then I could do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to give it the website so that this way it can kind of search it itself. All right. And it'll give me some responses. So I want you to see this in real time, and which means, hold on. Let me make sure you're on the right screen to see in real time. And let's go back to ChatGPT. Okay. So this is what it's telling me. You see it's writing. It's giving you way more information than you need. Okay, let's be clear. So when I go down, it says the American Express website exemplifies a professional and customer-centric approach in its writing, characterized by the following elements. So it's telling you what the voice is, it's telling you what the tone is, okay? And then if you can see the style, the structure, any SEO improvements, okay? So it's making these things based on the fact that it just analyzed the page. So I'm saying to you, if you want things to be a little bit more professional, if you want to just tone up, not even saying that you're emulating. So now you see what I'm talking about. When you look, it says the voice is professional and authoritative, reflecting the company's established reputation in the financial industry. Now, you may not be a financial company, but if you are, then fine. You could just go in and just say, okay, I want my voice to be professional and authoritative. You could say, I want my tone to be formal yet approachable, balancing professionalism with accessibility to a broad audience. So this can give you, and what they do is they call it like tone modifiers. This can give you a way to help you train your ChatGPT to reflect something that you already love, right? A brand that's already out there. But this is not saying that your brand is exactly like American Express. This is just you analyzing something that you like and saying, well, I want my stuff to be a little bit more like that because maybe that's not how I write. Now, guess what I want you to do now? I want you to take that same prompt, analyze this writing style, voice, tone, all of that, and put your own website in there and see what it says about your own website. So how about we do that? Now, I'm just going to copy it from here. All right. And I'm not ashamed. I'm going to put my own website in. Okay. And I'm going to put mine in just to show you. So now you just keep scrolling down, and then it's going to analyze my website and it's going to tell me what I am. So let's just see if any of this is true. The Give It to the People website presents its content with a distinctive voice, tone, style, and structure characterized by the following elements. The voice, engaging and personable, reflecting the company's commitment to fostering connections and community. I like that. Authoritative in its domain, showcasing expertise in curated events and professional development. All of that sounds good. Tone, upbeat and positive, which, ta-da, right? Aiming to inspire and motivate the audience, supportive and inclusive, emphasizing a focus on mental well-being and personalized experience. The style, it says clear and concise language, making information easily accessible. Now look, use of direct address, we and you, to create a conversational, engaging atmosphere. Right now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you can do the same thing with your site. So if there are things that you want to do, what I love about this is for your site, it will also tell you where you can go in and you can do better with your SEO. Okay. And so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do better with my SEO. So it will then give you that information. And now that helps you to be more clear, concise, more focused on your actual, mission and vision that you want to display to people. So use it to do that. Okay, now I'm going to go back to our presentation and boom. Okay, so that's what we just did with the prompt. Now I want to show you this because I'm going to use this as an example. If you see right here, this is a paperclip, which means that if you have a PDF of a document that you also want to analyze or that you want it to get information from, you can upload that. Okay. Now, the other thing that you can do, and I did it the other day, so I hope I can show you really quickly. I may have deleted it, but I don't know if I did or didn't. So you can also, with that paperclip, and I usually do it on my phone, with the paperclip, what you can do is if I were to screenshot something on my phone, and let's just say like the other day it was in Spanish, then it will also translate it for me. Okay. If I were to screenshot something that had a lot of content on it, and I'm just like, well, I would like to write something similar to that, not exactly the same thing, but could you do that for me? Then it can do that as well. So if you say you see something else that's online that gives you inspiration, then you can literally take the content and you can put it into the system so it starts to develop things for you. And this is why for your own content, if you have all kinds of PDFs and PowerPoints and all kinds of stuff that's already out there, then you can then make it a PDF. I think it's just easier. And then put it inside of the ChatGPT system and allow it to then bring all of that content in there so it can write better for you. Okay. Now, I don't know how many people knew that, but I just wanted to let you know that that is a possibility. Now, what I want you to think about for your business is, who do you focus on? So this video is an example of who I focus on for the most part. BIPOC, women, business, rural North Carolina, marketing, social media, and mental wealth, which means my content should reflect that. But that also means that if I were thinking about what I wanted to write about, I could write articles, I could write content for each one of those different areas. Okay. And then I'd have plenty of content for the whole entire year and I don't have to be stressed. So I need to think about, who am I really trying to reach, which is the same thing you need to think about. And what type of content do you need to put out in order for people to pay attention to it? So let me give you an example. A lot of you on here are doing government contracting, right? And so if you're doing government contracting that's underneath a certain type of threshold, usually about like 30,000 and down, then that may give you an opportunity to find out who the people are that are in procurement, that are the types of people that are giving the contracts out, where you don't actually have to bid on them. So I'm just giving you this as a real life example that may be able to be helpful for you. You may say, well, I want to write an introductory email to whoever the person is in procurement and let them know about my business, what I do, let them know your certifications, maybe include your capability statement, or maybe even start to develop your capability statement utilizing AI. So I want you to think about the fact that you can use it for all kinds of different things. It's not just your marketing and your social media, but it could be the direct communication. But then maybe you say, well, look, I need a thank you email because this person responded to me. create a thank you email, right? Maybe you're the type of person where you have a newsletter and you have a sequence of things that you want to happen. Or maybe somebody mentioned that they were doing some training. Maybe you have training online where you're dripping your content out on a weekly basis and you need an email to go with each piece of content. I don't know, but it's up to you how you choose to utilize it. Okay. Now let's keep going. So if I said, okay, hold on, let's go. Questions. What I want you to do, and this will be in your guide that you'll be able to download, write down 10 questions that you want to ask the AI or 10 things that you want help with. Now, if they're drastically different from each other, then what I want you to do is this. I want you to come over here to ChatGPT and just start a new question. Because what will happen is with each question that you then ask it, when you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll be able to see what you asked it and you'll be able to go back. Now you see I can go back 30 days or more and see what I actually asked the system to do for me. So this was the Amex website analysis. But if you go back in here, because maybe you won't remember that, I can click and I can also rename it to something that I will be able to understand. So let's just say I want to say tone and SEO check, right? And then in this way, I'll remember that. And when I'm going back through, guess what I can do also? If you see the magnifying glass, I can search for things. So one thing that we're going to do as we close this webinar out is if I type in membership. Now, because we're developing one, I have a lot of different things that have stuff with membership, but I can go back and find some of the stuff that I asked it to get for me. So not only can you go in and see all of your saved things that you asked it, right? Then this way it helps you to delineate. So I was thinking, okay, well, this was one set of questions, but maybe this was for the book. Well, this is one set of questions, but maybe this was for the podcast. Well, maybe this was one set of questions, but this was for procurement in Raleigh, and this one's procurement in Wilmington, right? Like, and so then this way you can kind of separate out those things, but you can change the name if you need to. And you can also search within your chats to be able to find content that you've already developed. Okay. Now let's jump back over. And then when we come over here, this is just an example. So if I said, okay, well, we have to get it membership, right? This is what's on the site. It's got a definition. So I can literally copy what I have on here and paste it inside of ChatGPT so that this way it can give me more information. Right? So I said, well, my questions are going to be based on membership, entrepreneurs, and service organizations. So if I say to ChatGPT, well, what are, oops, got a typo. I knew it was going to be one in there. Oh man, I tried really hard, but it's okay. Right, Tammy? She said good. Okay. What are typical business membership offerings, right? And so when I did that, I did it so that this way I would say, okay, well, even though I know you're giving me some typical stuff, there may be some things I want to offer that are not on that list. There may be some things that ChatGPT suggested to me that I wasn't even thinking about. And then I told it, well, develop business membership categories, because I don't want to take the time to think about all the different types of businesses that there could be and then break those down into individual areas. Why would I take my time doing that when I can just allow ChatGPT to do that, right? And so this way, when we have our online database, then it's already broken down for me, but I don't need to think about all of those categories, okay? So just giving you an example in real life. Now, then when you go through, then I said, okay, well, how about you help me make a marketing calendar? You can do the same thing. So I said, well, if we start marketing and we're going to do a weekly marketing from this week, Wednesday, until the first week in January, then what would I say? So what she did was she broke down the things to talk about the membership. I also got hashtags, okay, because I asked for them. And then she gave me engagement strategies for each post. All right. And so this is why I think it's important, because it depends on what you ask the system to do. Maybe you want an agenda for an event. Maybe you want a marketing calendar for the first 90 days of the year. Maybe you want hashtags that are more relevant than some stuff that you've been using to try to get more attention, right? So this gives you a different way to where you can develop a strategy. And guess what? It saves time and it saves money. Because if this is giving me a weekly post on Wednesdays, I don't need to think about what I need to post on Wednesdays. I need to go in here and copy and paste it. Now, if you notice, it does say insert link. So let me give you another little chocolate. if you have that place where it says insert link, because it doesn't know what the link is if you didn't tell it, then what I could do is I could say, well, go back and rewrite these, and I want you to use this link. Or when I started the prompt, I could have said, and I want you to use this link, and then put the link in there, and then all of the posts would have the links on them. Okay. Now, if you notice this too, do you notice how it automatically puts in emojis because it knows that it's writing for social media? I would say another thing that you could do, and I left this way on purpose, I usually tell it to take out the emojis. I don't need you giving me a whole bunch of emojis because, I understand that that's how some people think, but most of the things that I'm doing, I don't need an emoji to go with it, right? Like I just need to say what I'm saying, and I'm going to have a picture or a video to go with it anyway. So this is some stuff that you can do to help you save time. But also, guess what? Emails. So again, when I said I'll have a picture, I always love a good picture, a professional photo. And then I can say, okay, well, here is what I'm talking about with this membership. Now, anytime that I'm in here and I want to change anything, then I can change it. But let me give you another little chocolate. So let's say it says expert-led training, right? I can then say, well, can you add in more content and information about expert-led training? Because maybe I'm going to have a specific trainer on a specific day, and then I can put in more content about them or the subject matter that they're going to learn about, right? Maybe if there's exclusive perks, but there's going to be a specific perk, then I can go ahead and I can let people know about that particular perk. So you can adjust as you need to, okay? Now, social posts, same thing. So if I'm saying I'm designing this graphic and I'm telling people that they're going to get a free monthly business resource guide. So each month there will be that type of content. This is already on LinkedIn. So I told people, well, what's the difference between what we do with the membership and some other things? And then gave them some reasons that they should think about, and a link for them to go ahead and to, get on the wait list, a link for them to come to a launch party. What kind of content do you want to put out? Content, your blog posts, podcast episodes, articles, video scripts, you can do all of those things. Okay. So now the other thing, this is what I want you to understand. And this is kind of where I was going. You give it a role. So I told it to act like it works for American Express and develop the marketing strategy, which is where we saw some of the things before. So it gave me this, a positioning statement. The Give It to the People membership isn't just a program, it's your gateway to the next level of entrepreneurial success. Experience the connections, training, and support that will empower your future. Now, I told it something similar to that, but it turned it into something that was more similar to how American Express would say it. You see what I mean? So you can just write how you write and allow it to be able to give you content that's good for you. But you could also allow it to write and give it a specific role. You can say, be my marketing director, be my PR person, be my virtual assistant. You can give it a role. You can make it act similar to another type of company, and then it will start to change the way that your content comes out. Okay. Now, this is why I wanted to leave enough time at the end. So we have 11 minutes left. So I wanted to leave time for you to get this particular slide so that this way you can see all of the different types of things that you might consider creating for your business, okay? And maybe there's something on here that you didn't even think about. But if you said, oh, shoot, you know what? That's a good idea. I can go ahead and start to create that now. Then do it, okay? Now, some of the things that I will caution you about, if you do have it write a script, give it a certain duration of time, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, okay? If you are going to use something like, let's just say reviews, you may want to ask people to write your reviews, right? If you said, okay, well, I want you to do a calendar for me, give it a time frame of a calendar so it knows what today is. So if I say, well, I want you to do a calendar for the next 90 days and I want to put out one piece of content a day, then okay. So I want you to know this. If I told it 90 days of content, it can only retain so much information in one post. So let's go back over here. Now I'm going to go back over to ChatGPT. If I told it to give me 90 days worth of posts, what would happen is it would probably stop around day 15 or day 30. So what I want you to do in ChatGPT is tell it continue. It knows that it was supposed to give you 90. But if you see this, and I just want to caution people, because if you've never used it before, you'll be like, well, I asked you to give me 90 things. Why aren't you? it just can't compute all of that at one time in a certain space. So you just tell it continue, and then let's say it did 1 to 15, then it will do 16 to 30, and then it will do 31 to 60, or whatever, however many it can do based on the content that is in there. So more than likely, if you ask it to do something that is lengthy, then it will probably say, okay, I'm going to stop here. And you're just like, well, where's my content? Just ask it to continue. Just literally type in continue, and then it'll start to write the rest of those posts out. Okay. So what I want to know is, how do you feel now? Do you feel like this is better for your life? Do you feel like you can be more productive? Do you feel like, wow, I learned something new that I didn't know? So Steve, the answer is yes. This is recorded and it will be on YouTube, is my understanding. The other thing is that we will have another webinar next week, and we're going to be specifically talking about social media. So we will not be starting now. So this is the startup one, okay? But next week, we're going to pretend you already know all of this, and we're going to just jump in, okay? So looking at some of this, I see this has been so helpful. Thank you, Erica. Christina said, this is definitely better. I can be more productive. I didn't know that ChatGPT could do so many things. Thank you, super helpful. Yvette said, I had no idea I could do all of this with ChatGPT. You're welcome. Steve said, awesome. Oh, thank you. And you gave me a little fist. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well done. This is excellent. Okay, nice. Oh, this is so good. All right. So these are some really great comments. So now, based on what you've learned today, all right, and I want to give you time to ask questions. That's why I stopped, just to give you enough time to do that. Based on what you've learned today, do you feel better about being able to utilize it to do exactly what we said, which was save time and save money? Because if you can do those two things, you're already ahead of the game. And I want you to understand that if you actually do the work, you have some days before Christmas if you want to do Christmas sales, if that's what you're doing. If you're more product-based business, if you're more service-based business, then you need to be focusing on next year. And you need to try to get out whatever emails you can get out by next week, because nobody cares about you after that, okay? And I'm just telling you. So come to the webinar next week and get your emails out by like next week, Wednesday, Thursday, because then people just turn off and it's like New Year's, Christmas, okay? So just play with it. And the thing is too, if you don't like how something is done, it will have, let me see if I can go back and show you in here, but I have to find. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick, and so while you're doing that, just so that folks will know, we are going to put a couple of links to registrations for trainings that are next week, one of which is our part 2, as Chisa said, is the one for upgrading your social media with AI. And so that one's going to be next Tuesday, same time, 12 o'clock. And then also we have one on December 9th, which is going to be our construction series with Samet Corporation. They're going to be talking about submitting proposals. So that one is going to be on Monday. And shout out to Angela Sellers, who is our MBDA program director, for leading that initiative. Let me see, Angela, if you're on, just quickly show your face on camera, and then we're going to have Chisa keep moving here.
Yeah, so there is, okay. And I just want to say, there is sometimes where it will give you 2 different versions of content, and I couldn't find an example up on the thing. I was thinking I could do it live, and you can choose between the 2 different versions of content. But the other thing is just ask it to reword it, if you want to make a change too. That's another option. Angela, you there?
Okay, you can
yes,
keep it moving.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out how to get myself back on the right thing to show my face here. Oh, here we go. Okay, sorry about that. I had my screen on the big screen and I had to slide it back over. Hi, Chisa. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Thanks everyone for coming.
All right. Thanks so much, now, Angela. All right, take care.
Oh, no, don't. Okay, so there's a good question here. All right. So Yvette says, For those of us with multiple businesses, is it better to have a different ChatGPT account, or is one account okay as long as we put the info in the customization settings for each company? So listen, if you have different companies, I wouldn't, you can pay for different ones if you want to, or you can have just different options. And then yes, the customizations, because the customization is going to be based on the information that you put in. So if you were paying for one and let the other one be free, I could see you doing that. But if you then ask it different questions and do like I was saying on there, it can still, you can still input the information for the prompt that you're putting in and say it's for this particular business. So for instance, even though I'm my business, if I'm writing for a client, then I'll put in the information for their business, and then I'll use that so that it knows the content that it needs to put forward. So you can do it that way. That's for sure. Let me see, was there any more questions? They put the loved learning and the hands-on. Okay, good. All right. So let me pull this up for you, because I think everybody should have gotten, you know, the content portions. So what I would love for you to do now is scan this QR code, and then it will give you a small little review to do. And that will enable you to be able to also, once you're finished, to be able to download the resource guide that goes along with this presentation. So you have to fill it out so you can get the resource guide. So if you scan it with your phone, if you want to do that, or you can go and you can actually type in that specific link, and then it'll ask you to enter that code of MBDA. This will allow you to be able to immediately download the handout that goes along with this. And it gives you, I've given you, I think 30 questions that you can then input into your own ChatGPT. It's different areas as far as like operations and marketing and things of that nature, so that you can be a little bit more proficient. And I think that's a great way for you to be able to jumpstart if you've never used it, but then also to kickstart it if you've been using it, but you didn't ask it exactly the questions that I'm putting out. And I think that they're really great questions for your business, so that this way it just helps you to just be a little bit more clear on that messaging, right? And then they also put a survey in there for you about the presentation specifically from MBDA. So if you see that inside the chat, then please do that as well. And all right, now I don't see any more questions, so I think I must have did a great job. So if anybody has any final questions, feel free to go ahead and ask those. Nicodemus, he said, "You're amazing. Thank you, Chisa." All right, Tammy, you want to say something to the people? Okay, she is excited. She appreciates you guys being here. And next week, again, we're going to be talking about social media, so we'll be a little bit more specific. I will tell you, a lot of people are still using Twitter/X. I'm trying not to use Twitter anymore. That's a personal reason and a personal thing. But I'm sure you can read between the lines, because Twitter's out of control over there. So Twitter's not something that I'm using going forward, but using Instagram, using TikTok, using LinkedIn, and then also using Facebook are, some of the things that we'll be talking about for next week. And so just really giving you some specific things to think about on those platforms, because they don't work the same. So your prompting may need to be a little bit different on each one of them to try to really attract the type of audience that you're trying to attract. So I just want you to think about those things, and that'll be really helpful for you to finish up the year. All right, so no more questions? I don't see anything.
All right. Wow. So thank you so much, Chisa. As always, you are so insightful. You give practical tips. And so we really do appreciate it. And thank you for all those chocolates that you shared with us along the way.
Yes.
Thank you also to all the businesses and our partner organizations that have joined us as well. We know that it takes a lot to ensure that you're making time in your busy schedules.